Hello, I'm Ron Strickland. This webcast is one of a series in which I'm presenting some brief comments on topics in literary and cultural studies. In this particular installment, I want to say some things about the critical concept of metadrama as it relates to Shakespeare's comedy, A Midsummer Night's Dream. Metadrama refers to aspects of a dramatic production that either directly or indirectly call attention to the status of the play as artificial, as something contrived. Metadramatic strategies were used routinely by Shakespeare and his contemporaries, but the technique fell out of favor in the late 17th century, and metadrama runs against the grain of the tradition of English theater from the late 17th century to the late 20th century. These metadramatic elements often undercut, sometimes completely destroy, the illusion of realism, of naturalism that held sway from the late 17th century until the 20th century. But Shakespeare and his contemporaries were not bound by the conventions of naturalism or realism. To begin with, Shakespeare's plays were typically performed during daytime in open air on what is called an apron stage. The stage actually jutted out into the audience area so that the players would have members of the audience on three sides, not simply in front of them. The proscenium stage, in which the actors perform at a distance from the audience, seemingly behind an invisible fourth wall with all of the audience in front and facing the stage, originates in England at least in the 1660s, and the proscenium stage encourages a different concept of theater from that typical of Shakespeare's practice. So a general disregard for this presumed invisible fourth wall is a common feature in all of Shakespeare's plays. For example, sometimes characters simply speak directly to the audience. In Act 2, Scene 1 of A Midsummer Night's Dream, Oberon is alone on the stage, and he shares with the audience his plan of sprinkling the magic love potion onto Titania's eyes. As he's speaking to the audience, however, Helena and Demetrius enter the stage. Oberon says to the audience, "But who comes here? I am invisible, and I will overhear the conference." In addition to soliloquies, prologues, epilogues, and other strategies for breaking the fourth wall, another metadramatic technique common to Shakespeare's plays is what critics sometimes call the surrogate dramatist. The surrogate dramatist is a character who manipulates other characters, a character who sets up a play within the play or stages a scene, a scenario, in order to manipulate other characters to achieve some ends. In A Midsummer Night's Dream, Oberon would qualify as a surrogate dramatist, and also Peter Quince. Hamlet is a surrogate dramatist, setting up his mousetrap play within the play in order to provoke Claudius into some sort of a revelation of his guilt for the murder of Hamlet's father. Iago is a surrogate dramatist in his manipulation of Othello, and the list could go on. Surrogate dramatists and their actions and their plays within the play are especially interesting to critics because they seem to reveal a sort of a self-reflective auto-critique in which Shakespeare is examining the practice of theater, the methods, the strategies, and also the ethical considerations of making drama. Just as Oberon is manipulating Titania and the young lovers, so is Shakespeare manipulating us as we watch the play. There's an interesting example of the use of the play within the play in Act 5 of A Midsummer Night's Dream. Shakespeare uses the responses of his interior audience to the Pyramus and Thisbe play to make some points about what makes good theater. Here's a short excerpt of this scene from Act 5, taken from a BBC radio production.
Joy, gentle friends, joy and fresh days of love accompany your hearts.
More than to us, wait in your royal walks, your board, your bed.
Come now. What masks, what dances shall we have to wear away this long age of 3 hours between our after supper and bedtime? Where is our usual manager of mirth? What revels are in hand? Is there no play to ease the anguish of a torturing hour? Call Philostrate.
Here, mighty Theseus.
Say, what abridgment have you for this evening? What masque? What music? How shall we beguile the lazy time, if not with some delight?
There is a brief how many sports are ripe. Make choice of which your highness will see first.
The battle with the centaurs, to be sung by an Athenian eunuch to the harp. Well, none of that. A tedious brief scene of young Pyramus and his love Thisbe. Very tragical mirth. Merry and tragical. Tedious and brief. That is hot ice and wondrous strange snow. How shall we find the concord of this discourse?
A play there is, my lord, some 10 words long, which is as brief as I have known a play, but by 10 words, my lord, it is too long, which makes it tedious. For in all the play there is not one word apt, one player fitted. And tragical, my noble lord, it is, for Pyramus therein doth kill himself, which, when I saw rehearsed, I must confess, made mine eyes water. But more merry tears, the passion of loud laughter never shed.
What are they that do play?
Hard-handed men that work in Athens here, which never laboured in their minds till now, and now have toiled their unbreathed memories with this same play against your nuptial.
And we will hear it.
No, my noble lord, it is not for you.
I will hear that play. For never anything can be amiss when simpleness and duty tender it. Go bring them in. And take your places, ladies.
I love not to see wretchedness o'ercharged, and duty in his service perishing.
Why, gentle sweet, you shall see no such thing.
He says they can do nothing in this kind.
The kind are we to give them thanks for nothing. Our sport shall be to take what they mistake. And what poor duty cannot do, noble respect takes it in might, not merit. Where I have come, great clerks have purposed to greet me with premeditated welcomes. Where I have seen them shiver and look pale, make periods in the midst of sentences, throttle their practised accent in their fears, and in conclusion, dumbly have broke off not paying me a welcome. Trust me, sweet, out of this silence yet I picked a welcome. And in the modesty of fearful duty, I read as much as from the rattling tongue of saucy and audacious eloquence. Love, therefore, and tongue-tied simplicity in least, speak most to my capacity.
So please your grace, the prologue is addressed.
Let him approach.
This spirit of tolerance, goodwill, and community extends to the end of the play, when Robin Goodfellow steps out of character and delivers an epilogue, speaking directly to the audience. Here's a clip of that speech performed by Michelle Terry of Shakespeare's Globe Theatre.
If we shadows have offended, think but this, and all is mended, that you have but slumbered here, whilst these visions did appear. And this weak and idle theme, no more yielding but a dream. Gentles, do not reprehend. If you pardon, we will mend. And as I am an honest Puck, if we have unearned luck now to scape the serpent's tongue, we will make amends ere long. Else the Puck a liar call. So, good night, unto you all. Give me your hands, if we be friends, and Robin shall restore amends.
With that, I'll conclude this webcast. But, as always, if you have questions or comments, send me an email.